Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Larry Lursey. Welcome back to the channel. I've got a great video for you today. We're going to do another image transformation. This time we're going to go with a portrait. We've done a lot of landscape lately, and I'm going to take a portrait this time and show you where I would go starting out with the basic image and see if we can put some sort of a twist on it and come out on the other side with a more impactful image. So we'll give it a try and see how it goes. I'll be using Luminar to do a lot of the finishing on the image. If you don't already have Luminar AI, there is a link down in the description where you can check it out. I'll even give you a coupon code that you can use to get it at a discount. By the way, don't forget, if you haven't already done so, please take a second to subscribe, click the bell. Trying to reach that goal of 1 billion subscribers. As you can see, we're still a little bit short. A few months to go in the year, so I'm hoping that we will catch up, but a little low right now. Fingers crossed. One thing I need to stress before we go on, especially with a portrait, is that it's so important to start with a strong image. We can repair a lot of things in Photoshop and Luminar, but it's always better off to get things right in the camera, whether that's exposure, cropping. As much of it that you can get right in the camera, the better off you are. Now, sometimes those things happen and we have to do things later to fix them, but you will find that if you start with a nicer image, you'll end up with a better image. And so always try not to use things like Photoshop, Luminar as a crutch, but more just as an enhancement. Off the soapbox, back to the tutorial. So we've got an image loaded up in Photoshop. I think we are ready to go. Let's roll the intro. Okay, so here's the image we're going to work with. First thing we're going to do, of course, is make a copy of this. And what I'm going to do, I've got basically a portrait I'm happy with here, just a very closely cropped fashion type of shot, just on a plain gray. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and drop in a little bit of a background back behind her just to give us a little bit of texture. So I'm going to come over here and do select subject, and this is probably going to get us pretty darn close. I think I'm pretty good with that. Go ahead and hit select and mask. New layer with layer mask. We could go in and kind of fine tune that a little bit, but I think it looks pretty good, especially for as subtle as this background's going to be. And we probably could have done this before we made a copy over here, but just to have it. But I've got a couple of backgrounds here that we can try. Let's try this one first. Just drag it in, put it behind her. Change this blending mode to probably soft light. Okay, I like that. Let's try another one just for grins. I have to stretch this one. I think I like that one a little bit better, so throw that away. And we could even, let's close these out. We could even play with this opacity a tiny bit. Maybe switch it to overlay and then drop the opacity a little bit. There it is. So it's just giving us a little bit of color and a little bit of texture back there behind. About like that. All right. Then what we're going to do is just have these three on and do layer merge visible. So on top we've got the layer with the background added, and the bottom is just if we wanted to go back to that same gray. So we'll call this one textured. Okay, so we're ready now to go into Luminar and see how we can play around with this image. So I'm going to make one more copy of that layer, call this LUM for Luminar, and let's jump in. Okay, so it's giving us some of these different preset templates that we could play around with, but let's just jump in first and see what we can do on this one. I'm going to start up here with Enhance, just give it a little bit pop through that, like that. We might end up going black and white with this one, but let's enhance a few things first before we decide which way we're going. I'm going to go down here to the face. A little bit of light on the face. We've already lit her face pretty well, but give it a tiny bit more. I'm going to go into the eyes. I always like to add a little bit of the eye enhancer and the eyebrows. I think that just adds a little more punch to the face. You could even play with this iris flare a little bit. Depending on the person, it'll have a different type look, but just basically give that a shot somewhere through there, and then you look at it. And I really like how that's making the eyes jump out. And we can zoom in a tiny bit so we can see those. Let's turn it before and after. Definitely gives them a little glow. I'm going to dial it back a tiny bit, probably that iris visibility. Let's bring them all back a tiny bit. The eyebrows is fine. All right, let's see what that does. That's good. Definitely gives them a little more punch. Skin, we could go through and play with the skin. She's got pretty smooth skin as it is, but we'll go ahead and drop a little more in there. I think that works. All right, so I think we've got the base image here worked up. Now I just want to decide what to do with it as far as the overall look. And I'm going to start out trying like a black and white. So we'll come here to black and white, hit convert to black and white. You can dial up some of these, see what they do. Blue might give us a little bit there in the eyes. I think the red's going to be the trick here. I like that. Happy with that. Might come through here and add a little bit more grain. Then you could actually go in here to the mood and take a look at some of these. I think I've gone too far on the grain, actually, as I'm looking at that. Let's dial that back a tiny bit. Just want a little bit. Okay. Where were we? Not toning. Mood. So you could try playing with some of these that even though it's in black and white and this is kind of shifting the colors, you can see it changes the look of her. And it just depends on where you want things to go. I kind of like this grace where it makes it a little more moody. You know, another thing you can work with is the mystical on something like this, which is going to really give it that type of look. I kind of like how that's working there. We might need to go a little bit darker there at the bottom. Just because I'm not crazy about that light background, so we could go back up here to vignette. Let's see, go ahead and choose subject up here. Oh, what happened? There we go. And then just start dialing back down at the bottom, just kind of like that. All right, I like that. Kind of bringing everything in up to there. And I'm pretty happy with that look there. We can go to our before and after here and go from that. It's very dramatic. I'd like to do a color version of this as well, so what I may do is save this template so that we can come back and try this again with some of the other images of her. So I'm going to come down here and do save. And it's kind of a crazy route you have to do, and you got to go back to templates, my template, and it'll be right up here at the top. And let's just rename it black and white. Model grain, maybe. So we've got this. Let's go ahead and apply it. And then we'll come in and rename this. Leave the Luminar there. What do we call it? Black and white model grain. So that we can get back to that at some point if we need it. But for now, we're going to turn it off and hide it down here. Let's make another copy of textured. Call this one Luminar again. And let's jump back in and try a color version, and then we'll compare them and decide which one we like better. All right, so let's go back into edit. Put a little bit of enhance on there to start. I know that we did like let's jump right down to the face. And I liked that light on the face. And I liked what we did with the eyes. So we added a little bit of flare, probably about there, a little bit of enhancer. Eyebrows, let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think that works. We could go on to skin, smooth up that skin a tiny bit, even play with that shine a little. Didn't mind the shine so much when it was black and white because it's going to go away, but with the color I like to take that down a tiny bit. Let's see what that does. Alright, just a little bit. She doesn't need a whole lot, just a tiny bit. So I think that works pretty well. Then what we can do is come in here and play around with these moods again. And depend what kind of a color we want to throw at her. That's almost like a cross-processing type of look. I kind of like this faded type of a thing. I think that works interesting on this image, but let's see. Grace is what we did on the other one. I'm just going to roll through here and see if anything jumps out. Some of these are just a little too warm and a little too much. That's not bad, but I may go ahead and try this 1960 that does it kind of the faded matte type look. Let's go with that. And then what I want to do is come down to, or actually over here, to local masking, and I'm going to add a texture. And so what we can do is you'll go through here and you've got all these different textures you can play around with. And I'm going to start out with this one, which I think is going to work. It's going to put like a bright light behind her and then these kind of light leak things happening on the side. I think that looks nice. We could look at a couple of others just for grins. I don't like that that's interfering with the face as much. Too much at the bottom. I kind of like that top one. I like that back light on that with this Arctic. So I think that will work nicely. Let's jump out of here. Let's take a second to see where we started. Much more stylized. I think we're heading in the right direction there. Let's go back to Edit. Let's go back up here to Tools. And now that we're going for a different look, I want to take another look at Enhance. See what that's going to do. I think that's making the effect go away a little too much. I think that works. Let's come in here and play with this dramatic slider, which is going to desaturate things a little bit and add some more grit. I'm not really crazy what that's doing with this particular image, so let's forget about it. Sometimes you're just going to try these things and they might work, they might not. Now Mystical is going to be interesting because it's going to add to this kind of smoky look. And let's see what it does. Let's just move it all the way over. Really makes the face start going into shadow, which is kind of interesting. Let's look at the before and the after. I'd like what that's doing here. We get in, zoom in right up here. If you look at the before and the after, there's the before, there's the after. It's just giving it a little more glow through here, which I like. I'm going to pull it down just a tiny bit, but I like that. I want to go back into the eyes here because since we've got this kind of washed out look, I'd like for the eyes to go ahead and pop out a little bit more. So I'm going to play with this iris flare a little bit and see what that does. It adds that highlight at the bottom. Try the eye enhancer. Drop the eyebrows. Let's see where we are. Just before. That's nice. And I think with all this lightness going on up here, it helps us to be able to make those eyes jump a tiny bit, as you can see like that. I think that looks good. Maybe a little too much. I think the eye thing looks so cool that it is really easy to overdo it. That's probably better. All right, rein it in, Larry. They do have this new portrait thing here that you can do. But I don't know in this case We may save that for another tutorial. Let's leave that for now. Let's go in back and do the vignette thing at the bottom like we did on the other. Choose our subject, tell it that it's up there, start pulling back. Draw our focus up to the top a little bit. Now we could play, because it's this kind of retro look, we could play with a little bit of grain. I don't know if the grain's going to spoil that look we have or not. Let's just throw some at it. Start pulling it back. The grain is so strong in this. We could play with this size and roughness, make the grain a little bit more subtle. Let's try that. Very subtle. Get it a tiny bit. Maybe we can see it better. Yeah, it's barely even showing up. Alright, now it's popped in there. That's too much grain. It's kind of a delayed effect with that grain. Okay, I like that better. We could play, you know, we've got this light back here. I wonder if the sun rays, if we move this up to here, we could have something like that. Maybe shorten that a tiny bit. Randomize it a little bit. I like that a little bit better. Kind of like that. You know, there's the before, there's the after. It's still a little too hard of a line. So maybe just soften it that way. Before. Just kind of gives us a little bit of a light coming through there. I like that. And I think we're pretty good with that. You know, you've got your color here. You could go in and play with that saturation a touch. And the vibrance. Again, it's just kind of easy to go too far with that. Just want to add a touch. Before and after. Very subtle. And I think we're pretty good here. I like the this kind of retro look. Let's go ahead and save this. And we'll call it, let's come up here to template. My template. Let's call it, I don't know, disco. Disco retro. How about that? Disco and retro. We can edit. I don't think there's anything else really to fix on this one. I like that. Love what we're doing back here. Might even consider cropping this, depending on where I was going to put this or post it. I think that works pretty well. So let's go ahead and apply it. Okay, and then we will come back and change this to Disco Retro. So now we know which is which. So here is our disco version, the black and white version, and the original version. You could even get really crazy and play with the blending modes. Combine the disco on top of the black and white. Or try the opposite. We bring the black and white on top. Play around with the blending modes of that. Kind of give it a little more punch. A few different ways to go. Let me actually put them side by side so you can see them at the same time. Okay, so here they are side by side. We've got that disco retro look on the left. We've got the black and white on the right. Would love to hear your thoughts on which one you think turned out with the most impact of the two. So there you go. Pretty happy with the results. I'd be curious to know what you think. Started out with a nice image, but I definitely like the way we took it. You know, sometimes templates are going to be a good match. Sometimes you're going to have to do things individually. And it's just a matter of deciding which one to do in which case. But do want to remind you to make sure you save those templates as you make them, because you'll be surprised how often you go back and use that same look on a different image. By the way, if you're new to using Luminar and you're checking it out down below in the link, you can use the coupon code LarryPhoto to get it at a discount. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Definitely take a second, please take a second to leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video, suggestions for other videos. I would love to hear from you. And again, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. But that's all we've got for this week. I will be back with more videos soon, and I hope to talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you haven't, woo, 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 woo.